Well, let's talk a little bit about the training that goes into it. Tell us what your physical training regimen might be, if you, in some detail, if you can. How are you
Sure.
physically preparing yourself for this?
Well, I just returned for 3 months in Alaska where I was staying in a friend's cabin right on a lake. So every day I would go out, or almost every day other than a recovery day here and there, I would go out and either ski, just a refined ski technique with no sled, or ski with a very heavy sled. I got to the point that I was skiing with a 560-pound sled. That's
Mm-hmm.
160 pounds heavier than what my sled in Antarctica will start with. So
Mm-hmm.
so you're just putting in massive endurance volume with a heavy sled, because polar
Mm-hmm.
training is a very unique beast in that you have to train strength to have the strength to pull the heavy sled. You have to train
Mm-hmm.
endurance to do this for 10 to 12 hours a day. And you have to do
Mm-hmm.
this all while you're fat, because I'll be
Mm-hmm.
losing weight in Antarctica. I'll be at
Mm-hmm.
a caloric deficit from day one. Now, all
Mm-hmm.
those three things don't go well together, right? But you have to do all three. So I'm constantly working on getting fat, constantly building my strength, doing gym sessions. When I'm not in the snow in Alaska, I live in Arizona. In fact, later today, I'll be going out and I have two very heavy truck tires that I drag around a park for hours on end, so physical training, and of course, even mental training, practicing stillness of mind, meditation. This is why I did a 10-day darkness retreat where I spent 10 days in complete darkness and isolation just to practice stillness of mind and master solitude within. So all of those elements, but physical training is primarily tire dragging, or if I'm in snow, skiing with the sled. Hiking and strength training is primarily what I do for the physical element.
So I saw pictures of you with a chain and the tire behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a description, if you can, of how big this tire actually is. It's not a car tire by
It's
any
not a
means.
car tire, no. It is a very big truck tire. I don't know exactly how much it weighs. I would venture to guess at least 100 pounds. I haven't weighed it, but it's quite heavy. And when you're dragging on concrete as opposed to snow, there's no
Mm-hmm.
glide. It's just pure friction. So
Mm-hmm.
every step, it's monotonously, mind-numbingly slow. You're
Mm-hmm.
moving at a painfully slow pace. And it's sometimes it's with one heavy truck tire, sometimes it's with two tied together. And they're very, very, very big truck tires that I drag around.
So what kind of reaction do you get from individuals who see you walking around for 6 hours at a time dragging this tire?
Yeah, I get stopped a lot, as you can imagine. These days, people, at least in the local park, are very familiar with me, so they're kind of used to me. But it's kind of funny. I get reactions from all kinds of things. Some people are just curious, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And I share, and they're always fascinated. And even that,
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the impact we make, that has inspired people. I've had so many people will tell me, like one guy I remember recently was like, "Oh man, you really left a mark in me." He was struggling. He said, I've put on some weight, and it was evident. And he's like, "I used to hit the gym harder, and you've really inspired me." He's like, "If you can do this, I can do that." And so you'll see it inspires people to go push their own limits. And some people will really delve into longer conversations about the why, the spirituality of it. And then once in a while, I get funny comments too. Like one person said, "What are you training for? Marriage?" So you'll get some funny reactions as well as just curiosity. And but I do get stopped a lot when I'm tire dragging with people wondering what is this.
And how long have you been training for this particular expedition?
I've been directly training. This has been on my radar for the last 3.5 to 4 years. And this will be but in many ways, it'll be a culmination of decades of adventuring, because it's the toughest thing I've ever done. It will be the toughest thing I've ever done by far.
So you've been doing this for 3-4 years now, doing the actual training, and it is not the usual training of go to get dressed up, look good, go to a gym, work out a little, sweat a little, and then go home. This is much different than that. What kept you motivated? What kept you focused to continuously do this once in a lifetime experience
Great
and
question.
keep it going? Was it the mental challenge? Was it the emotional challenge? Was it just I need to rehearse more of the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt, the conflict that's going to come into my mind, those types of things?
It was definitely way more mental than physical, the challenge. But what kept me going is kind of that construct that I learned in the Marines, that those moments when you hate it, when the moments when you're really struggling, that's why you're there. Just I remember on my last session in Alaska, I was with 560 pounds and kind of hurting towards the end. It was a 5.5-hour session. And just remembering that when I'm deep in that pain, in the pain cave, in the suck of it, that's the value. That's the reason I go, that's the reason you do these things, because in those moments you are unearthing the limitlessness of your soul. You cannot really know your power without pain. You cannot really know your own strength without struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's recognizing that the struggle and the pain is the thing that gives me value. Even I don't know what'll happen when I set foot in Antarctica, but even the transformations that have happened just getting ready for it are profoundly beautiful. So part of it is falling in love with the process itself. And then remembering, and then there's multiple different mental places I'll go, because more often than not, I don't feel like going out the door. More often than not, and that is not an exaggeration, like especially in Alaska when I was training so hard, it was very rare that I was that excited to go out the door. Now, once you get out there, I know the deed will get done. But the point is, there was constantly this feeling of, oh, man, I don't want to do this. But I've learned over decades not to listen to my feelings. If we listen to our feelings, we're going to retreat to the laziest, easiest course of action, right? So recognizing there's something more, recognizing the why behind this mission. I know what the value of this mission is for myself, recognizing how much people are coming together to support it. Every person who's contributed to the crossing, every person who supported me emotionally, my trainers, my nutritionists. I mean, literally hundreds, if not even already up to now, thousands of people have come together that believe in this. So remembering that there's people who believe in this because they believe in this, what this stands for. It's on me to get out of my own way and push harder, right? Remembering that this is about something greater, tapping into that deeper why. It helps me keep fighting forward on those days, especially when I don't feel like it. And just remembering how much of my soul, I mean, I've given already just personally invested over $500,000 on previous expeditions, trainings, things like that. So I've invested a ton of my own money, almost a lot of my own money to, and also my soul, my mind, my body, my spirit. I've lost 2 fingers to this. So it's embedded into my soul, and that why keeps driving me forward when I don't feel like it, feel like doing it.
So Akshay, if I may say, you just described my definition, and I think many people's definition of an entrepreneur or an individual that goes out, whether it be a business or whatever the endeavor is, to help someone else, to create, solve a problem or do something, what keeps you going. And it is implementing and keeping that dream in front of you and not letting the fear overtake you and figuring out a process and rehearsing it. And that's what I find most people don't do. They may have the process, they can have the ability, but they don't rehearse how to get from fear to nirvana, which is what your classes really do talk about.
Absolutely. And also remembering, here's the thing. If you don't seek out a worthy struggle in life, you're going to struggle anyway. We're all going to suffer. Right. So then the question asked is, which struggle do you want to endure? For me, my worthy struggle is crossing Antarctica. It's not the only path to enlightenment. It could be, like you said, building a business, writing a book, raising a child. Now, let's say this is the thing you want. It requires some struggle. You know this, building a business is not easy. It requires struggle, right? So you're going to struggle. But what if you didn't do that? What if you lived your whole life because you were scared of that struggle? You're going to suffer anyway. You're going to suffer through the malaise of knowing you're not fulfilling your potential. You're going to suffer through the depression that comes with that. So then the question asked is, which struggle do you want to endure? Would I rather endure the struggle of suffering out there in my training versus the struggle of knowing I never lived the version of Akshay that is truly its highest level? That is a hell I do not want to ever endure. So I would rather get my ass out the door every day and suffer through that, because that is a struggle that is more worthy of who I am and who I want to be.
Well, I think every business owner, individual who wants to build a serious career, whether they're a business owner or not, should hear just what you're saying right now, because that is what keeps everybody going. And the struggle is worth it, because looking back on that, well, gee, I could have, I wish I would have.
Exactly.
That's living in hell, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It is.
So hi, Ted Wolf here. I want to thank you for joining us for this Implementors video. The Implementors podcast is presented by Guidewise, where we, along with our vetted member community, recognize that ideas are easy, but implementation is hard. To learn more about getting things done with Guidewise, please visit us at guidewise.io. And to conquer your implementation struggles, please like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. Happy implementing.